Ladies and gentlemen, Liz Cheney has failed to indict or charge President Trump or find any evidence where she could go after, 10 months, a 10-month long investigation in Congress, where she and Adam Kinzinger are the lone Republicans, which is hilarious, because they oppose Trump on major issues like foreign policy, other issues as well that are like economic policy. But interestingly enough, they voted alongside Trump 90% of the time, according to 538 in Congress. But the reason that a former lefty like myself, a former Bernie Sanders supporter like myself, who realizes that Bernie is part of the same system he claims to oppose, actually Lincoln Project, the Liz Cheney Republicans vote alongside Bernie Sanders alongside the Democratic Party. The Lincoln Project is part of the Democratic Party, as is Bernie Sanders and AOC. So think about that for a second. The quote-unquote socialists vote alongside the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans in American politics. And they're opposed by Trump, DeSantis, Tulsi Gabbard, people who oppose never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts that Liz Cheney's father and Rumsfeld and Bush created 20 years ago, or I should say fostered with their failed foreign policy. So, I mean, really it comes down to, if you place foreign policy as your most important issue, which it's always been my most important issue. I learned from history, if you study American history, Vietnam, the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld counterinsurgency conflicts of the past 20 years, we can never again send Americans off to other countries to topple leaders in that country or get involved in a civil conflict. And that's not what our military or what we should do. It's immoral for us to send Americans, young people, 18-year-old men and women. It's immoral for us as a country to do that to these brave and courageous men and women that we have an obligation to protect. You can't send them into these quagmires like Liz Cheney would have no problem doing, or the average morally superior liberal Democrat who has a huge issue with Trump's tweets, but they wouldn't mind at all if Americans were sent overseas. But anyway, that's the reason you vote for Trump and not Liz Cheney or any Democrat. That's the most important reason in my view. But Liz Cheney did not indict or find any. She can't indict, but Merrick Garland has not. The Democrats have the House, the Senate, the executive. We have President Mashed Potato Brains. You have loyalists in every law enforcement and intel agency. And they have not found anything. They have not found any evidence to indict or charge Trump in a court of law. And that goes for his tax returns, which was supposed to be the holy grail of corruption. Stormy. Alvinati is serving prison time with that. And his real estate colluding with a foreign government never happened. The Mueller probe found nothing. The Mueller probe was created to find an organized plot by Trump and his associates to undermine American democracy. Never happened. Not one person was indicted or charged with conspiring alongside a foreign intelligence official. And if I'm long-winded, ladies and gentlemen, there's a method to the madness because I have to, take into account YouTube guidelines and so I'm always, there are words that I refrain from using, which makes me even more long-winded than I usually am or naturally am. But anyway, they haven't indicted or charged Trump. January was 2 years ago. It was a catastrophe. It was terrible. It should never have happened. The loss of life was primarily people who supported Trump. And you had a preceding summer with $1 to $2 billion in property damage and around 19, I think more than that, lives lost, according to Wikipedia, and not one Democrat condemned the chaos or madness, but then they showed up condemning January, which I condemn as well. But you have to ask yourself, where if there's a plot and there's going to be a primetime, theatrical performance from Liz Cheney and Democrats, well, where's the evidence? You've been yapping and talking and pontificating and preaching and giving these sermons. Well, indict him. Charge Trump. What? Where? Oh, that's right. You don't have anything. You can go after. Peter Navarro and Bannon are just waiting for the House to go Republican. You didn't charge Mark Meadows, or Dan Scavino. And by the way, hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Watch the segment prior to this one on the Durham Probe. Huge news from John Ratcliffe. Subscribe to the Bitcoin Crash channel and the Stock Market Crash channel. A lot of news, as you can see from today and the past week and the past couple of months. I told everyone in September of 2021, the homepage of this channel and the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash channel has the playlist of all the segments that I've done since September of 2021, where I told everyone Bitcoin's going to crash, crypto's going to crash, and most importantly, well, equally as important, the stock market, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, they're all going to tumble. And I explained why. And I was published in the Federalist. That article's below in the pinned comment and the description. And I told everyone what was going to take place. And it's happening. And it's only going to get infinitely worse, unfortunately. Bitcoin will crash to 10,000 or lower. The Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P will be far lower than where they are now. And you'll see layoffs. Energy prices are 110 to 120 plus a barrel for oil. Inflation 8 to 9%. Geopolitical nightmares. We have the Lehman Brothers moment and the AIG moment. That could very well happen. The catalyst is out there, unfortunately. There are too many financial entities on thin ice. There's a bubble that was created primarily because Democrats, in their usual apoplectic but always highly educated and possibly hysterical manner, pushed to end economic activity for a year and a half. But anyway, I talk about that, and they've opened up a Pandora's box of problems, $10 trillion pumped into the economy to replicate economic activity. I talk about that in the Federalist. And the Stock Market Crash channel below in the description, hit subscribe to it. And watch the latest segment. It's up. And the Bitcoin Crash channel. I'll try to do 3 segments a day on that from now on. I do a segment a day on that now. I'm growing each. We're almost at 20,000 on the Stock Market Crash channel. We're almost at 5,000 on the Bitcoin Crash channel. If you know anyone who might enjoy, please go ahead and send those channels to them. Sorry, I have to go ahead and advertise those channels because I don't have a sponsor. My sponsor is me and you watching. But what people should ask when they watch Liz Cheney and Democrats and Kinzinger pontificate and preach and give these sermons on morality and goodness and civility and democracy and the Republic and the Constitution, you have spent morally superior Democrat and never Trump Republican Lincoln Project type individual. You have spent 6 years accusing Trump of everything bad that's ever happened in the history of mankind. Yet you haven't indicted him, have you? You haven't charged him. And Trump didn't get the luxury of Comey saying, well, he didn't intentionally conspire or collude. Okay, and when Clinton, I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024 or Hillary DeSantis 2024. I would love that. I'll be the happiest person on the planet if it's Hillary Trump 2024. We need to redo 2016. But with Hillary, with top secret intelligence on private servers, Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, they didn't explain how top secret intel got there. How on earth, in secure government locations, can you have classified data just fly or jump from secure locations, top secret intelligence, make a voyage, a trip, like Gilligan's Island, from the secure locations within the United States government onto Madam Secretary's servers? How does that happen? But again, I don't even care anymore. You understand? I don't care. I used to care. I don't care anymore. I want a Donald Trump 2024. Trust me. Okay? The worst thing to do in life is to worry about how the Clintons get away with their, endless list. Or Democrats in general. We know how mashed potato brains Joe and his son Hunter get away. They have every single possible advantage. From late night with Jimmy Kimmel to Twitter, and they won't have Twitter anymore. So Elon Musk is going to take it over because he knows that it'll be used against him, or it would be used against him, and he also knows that the market's going to tank a lot further, and Tesla stock will be probably around $300+ so in the next 5-6 months or so. Tesla just laid off 10,000 workers. Anyway, I talk about that on the Stock Market Crash channel. But where are the indictments? Where are the indictments? Trump didn't have the luxury of Comey saying, oh, well, he didn't intentionally do this or intentionally do that. Oh, well, there's no intent there. Where is this, was it a bad idea? Yeah, it was a bad idea for Donald Trump, the president at that time. President Trump, it was a bad idea to have that march there. I do agree with that. But he did not tell anyone to commit any criminal acts. Just like when Democrats say get in people's faces or make people feel unwelcomed, or I think New Jersey's Democratic senator stated that he wanted to punch, if you can believe that, President Trump because of his whatever, he gave some lame excuse. But anyway, you can't blame people. We still have the First Amendment, and we have laws protecting people from speech that leads to criminal activity. Believe it or not, you can't say things and compel or lead people to commit crimes. That's not protected, and it has not been protected under the First Amendment. And that predates Twitter, believe it or not. My goodness, can you imagine? But they still haven't pointed to any, the Attorney General of D.C., the Mayor of D.C., Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of this country, Mashed Potato Brains Joe, his intel agencies, the Senate, the House. Nobody has found evidence that Trump committed a crime. How difficult is that to understand? Highly educated, very morally superior, wonderful, fantastic, awesome liberal Democrats. They're such good people. They're such good people disowning friends and family and loved ones because of politics, under the absurd notion that they convince themselves that their side is so morally just and so much better than Trump. It's well, have you looked at Hunter's emails and read them? It's clear violations of the law. These people are hypocrites, or they're ignorant hypocrites, combination. They don't really understand, the average, wonderful Democrat does not know anything about the corruption within his or her political party. They don't understand what the corruption. They don't see it, and if they do see it, and if you show them, here, read those emails with Hunter's emails. There's no equivalent with Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Jared. There's no equivalent at all. See, and then they'll say they'll get upset or indignant, or they'll get into this rage, where they'll say, Trump is worse, Trump is worse. They won't be able to, and then they'll say he cleared Lafayette Square. Then you'll say, no, that didn't happen, and they won't believe you. Or then they'll say Don Jr. got word that the emails were coming out. No, that didn't happen either. Oh, Trump, he gave classified data. No, that didn't happen. That was according to a former current U.S. official. There was no evidence of that. And then they'll give a list of things that Trump did and said. He said both sides. No, actually, if you look at the transcript of him actually speaking, he condemns. It'll be too much for them. Do you understand? It'll be too much. They'll get so upset. Oh my God. It'll be too much. That's what. Don't ever get into a debate with a wonderful, highly educated, morally superior, absolutely beautiful liberal Democrat. It won't work out well. They'll disown you right then and there. It could be like you're your birthday party, after you just saved someone's life, after you got an award, a Congressional Medal of Honor. It could be like all these wonderful things, and it'll be a party for you, and then they'll be like, I just want to ask you, why'd you vote for Trump? And then you'll tell them, well, I want a great foreign policy. I opposed the Lincoln Project, and we had record low unemployment with Trump. He allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. He signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism on college campuses. Doha agreement that Biden botched. Abraham Accords. We had hundreds of thousands of new manufacturing jobs. We didn't have the 8 to 9% inflation. It was 2% under Trump. We didn't have the negative GDP. I mean, last year, but Democrats gleefully tanked their state economies. But before that, we had GDP growth. Now we're going into a recession. Gas prices weren't at like $10 in some locations. I'll be talking about that on the stock market crash channel. And, but you can vote for, mashed potato brains Joe. That's fine. Then the person will say, I just can't believe his personality. He's so insulting. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? I just listed every reason why he's an authoritarian. Now, usually, this is, when anyone says that Trump is an authoritarian, they're ignorant. And they lack a basic, just cursory understanding of history. They don't understand, the authoritarians, the true tyrants of history, within, you look at 20th to 20th century, or just history. They controlled media. Trump does not have media, okay? They controlled, secret police or intel agency. Trump does not have that. And they pushed military interventions. They wanted to acquire land. Trump doesn't do that. He's opposed to the Lincoln Project people, okay? On every point that would make a person an authoritarian, and he doesn't care what you say. And in terms of xenophobia, it's Democrats who blame a specific country for all their problems. So on every single point, he's definitely not an authoritarian. Now, does he say crude things? Yeah, but the same crude things that he said, mashed potato brains Joe and other Democrats have stated the same things. Okay, and not that far back in history either. And look, he did push the envelope on Twitter. There are things he shouldn't have said. I don't think that Trump should have insulted LeBron James. I don't think that he should have insulted NFL athletes. There's things that Trump shouldn't have done. That's true. But the good things he did outweighed his words. Okay, we live in a world that's pure public relations. Okay, you could give your kidney to somebody, but if you said something bad on Twitter, it's like, whatever. Who cares what you did good to save someone's life? You said something bad on Twitter, so you've lost your job and now you're living on the streets. So that's the world we live in. People care about public relations. They care about feeling good about themselves at the expense of actually truly being moral. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash channel. And I'll be back. Big day today. Huge day. And don't worry, I have many more segments on this channel and also the Stock Market Crash channel. You definitely want to go there. And the Bitcoin Crash channel. And ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic day. I have many more segments to go. Thank you so very, very much. The question to ask is, where are the indictments? If you have a 10-month panel on Hunter's emails, you will have more than enough evidence to impeach, indict, and charge with crimes. Mainly charged with crimes. Why hasn't Trump been indicted? Because he didn't commit a crime. And that's the truth. That's the truth and the honesty that most wonderful, highly educated Democrats can't come to terms with. The Orange Menace did not commit a crime. Hit subscribe to this channel right now.